Hello, I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. The internet's trying to bury my videos, so if you like this one, I hope you'll send the link to a lot of people. Just about every group in this country has convinced itself that it has great excuses to hate the white man. There's slavery, white supremacy, homophobia, the Holocaust, white privilege, sexism, racism, and just showing up in the New World. Hating us is so much fun that even groups we can't possibly have ever wronged have learned how to do it. Take Indians and Pakistanis. Almost all of them are first or second generation immigrants. They go to our best schools on scholarship, get plum jobs in law, teaching, journalism, and then they act like we brought them over and kept them as coolies for 400 years. I'll start with Mohsin Hamid. He was born in Pakistan, went to Princeton, Harvard Law, worked for McKinsey, writes for every fancy publication, and has just published his 5th novel. In The Last White Man, white characters wake up and discover, to their horror, that they have turned brown. As the Washington Post helpfully explained, it describes the apocalypse long feared by white supremacists by subjecting that paranoia to blistering attention. Somehow, I never worried about waking up brown. But in the novel, despairing white people start killing themselves and each other. And of course, that's a wonderful thing. The Spectator is happy to report that after a period of unrest, a kind of calm settles once the majority of the population in The Last White Man has darkened. At the end of the book, Hamid fast forwards to a time when whiteness is a distant memory, leaving readers to imagine the possibility of a post-racial world. It will be paradise once we're gone, but never forget, there's no such thing as the Great Replacement. Here's another book, This Land is Our Land, by Suketu Mehta. It's an immigrant's manifesto. J.R. Ramakrishnan, that's a good Irish name, explains the central argument. Immigration is and should be a form of reparations for what has been wrought upon the global South. You see, the Southern Hemisphere was just about to build jet airplanes and cure cancer until Europeans showed up and dragged them into the Third World. Therefore, every non-white everywhere has the right to come live with white people. Bilal Karishi, that's another Irish name, quotes from the book in his Washington Post review. I claim the right to the United States for myself and my children and my uncles and cousins by manifest destiny. We're here. We're not going back. We're not letting the bastards take it back. It's our America now. Well, I thought immigration was supposed to be a blessing and a strength, but I see that it's a punishment. I appreciate author Suketu Mehta's honesty. He was born in Calcutta, but he's an American now. Wins all sorts of literary prizes, and publishes in all the best places. My favorite Indian American may be Saira Rao. You can read here how she described herself. In 2018, when she lost a race for Congress, she tweeted that she had given up on white people. She has now written a self-help book, Deconstructing Karen and White Women, everything you already know about your own racism and how to do better. Here are some of her tweets. White people have done everything to make my life miserable, yet I'm supposed to not hate white people? The American flag makes me sick. White people continue to murder black and brown people with impunity. What a completely vile country. She would have made a great congresswoman. But now she has a different swindle. She is the co-founder of Race to Dinner, which gets white women to invite her into their homes and pay thousands of dollars to be told how awful white people are. Her website begins with this: Dear white women, you cause immeasurable pain and damage to black, indigenous, and brown women. We are here to sit down with you to candidly discuss how exactly you cause this pain and damage, and how you actively uphold white supremacy every minute of every day. Wajahat Ali would have to be a close runner-up. He's a Daily Beast columnist who has tweeted, I hope people realize that there are many white Republican voters in this country. If they're given a choice between renting a room in their house to a person of color or burning down the house, they will elect to burn down the entire neighborhood. It's not just a small fringe. He says the only way to curb support for Donald Trump is internet censorship. His columns never let you down. We are not prepared for what MAGA brown shirts will do in 2024. GOP must answer for great replacement theory violence. Trump's GOP has 5 simple tricks for promoting anti-Semitism. You damn Karens are killing America. And my favorite, is it time for me to leave America? I don't know what's keeping you, Wajahat. He's a contributing opinion writer for the New York Times. After the 2020 election, he wrote a column called "Reach Out to Trump Supporters," they said. I tried. I give up. His conclusion? Don't waste your time. He wants you to write off 73 million Americans, most of them white, just as he has. He adds, I also refuse to spend any more time trying to understand and help the architects of my oppression. Oppression? He went to Berkeley. He has a law degree. He's all over the prestige press, and he has an agent for the lecture circuit. Anand Giridharadas has led a life of oppression too. Here he's talking to MSNBC's Joy Reid. He went to Sidwell Friends School and Harvard and became a columnist for the New York Times. Right after the Jan 6 Capitol riot, he got on MSNBC and called it the funeral of white supremacy, adding that the people who were there are barnacles on the future. Last January, he explained to the Boston NPR station that billionaire supremacy is like white supremacy or like male supremacy, a systemic problem where a class of people have undue power and privilege over other people. In 2019, he told the New York Times, I don't think you can deal with a problem like white supremacy without understanding first what happened. But he's optimistic. I believe if you can begin to dethrone the phony religion, you can clear away the brush. Who's got the phony religion? Here he is telling Democrats they aren't woke enough on race. They've got to do better. And now he's asking, can America overcome? Overcome what? Just look at the photo, dummy. In case you need it spelled out, it's the existential threat to the country, the menace that resurgent white supremacist militancy poses to the republic. These newcomer Indians will save white America from itself. There are plenty of them. Kshama Sawant, who has been on the Seattle City Council since 2014, is the only member of the Trotskyite Socialist Alternative Party to win elective office. She wants to nationalize all big companies, turn the nicest houses in Seattle into bum shelters, and grant unconditional U.S. citizenship to everyone in the country now. Her critics are, of course, racist right-wingers. Asha Rangappa's parents immigrated from India. She went to Yale Law School, clerked for federal judge, teaches at Yale, etc., etc. Here are some headlines. CNN analyst Asha Rangappa warns America that we have a biological terrorist in the White House, literally. Ex-FBI agent, that's Asha, equates Let's Go Brandon chant with proclaiming Long Live ISIS. And my favorite, white Southerners created an entire cosmetics industry equating beauty with whiteness, like Chanel, Estee Lauder, Dior, L'Oreal. But I don't get it. Indians come from a country where millions of people still defecate wherever they can find a spot. According to an estimate from 2016, 8 Olympic-sized swimming pools could be filled daily with excrement produced by India's 41 million urban residents who must defecate in the open. That's just the city people. And as you just saw, the problem is far worse in the country. Half the population of Bombay lives in slums. Maybe that prepares Indians for the horror of living in a country with repulsive white people. India, of course, invented the caste system, which is vastly more complicated and long-lasting than Jim Crow. And according to a 2020 report by Freedom House, democracy and pluralism around the world are under assault, especially because of India's turn toward Hindu nationalism. the Indian government's alarming departures from democratic norms under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party could blur the values-based distinction between Beijing and New Delhi. Hindu nationalist India is getting as nasty as China, but our Indians generously worry about helping us. In international comparisons, Pakistan is even a worse mess than India. So both groups are fully qualified to tell us what's wrong with our country. And despite the white supremacy they yell about, they do very well. Asians have higher median household incomes than whites. More than $87,000 compared to just under $66,000. The difference is very close to the $20,000 difference between blacks and whites, and that difference is supposed to be a national scandal. And let's see about Indians and Pakistanis. Indians top the charts with an annual household income almost double that of whites, more than $126,000. Pakistanis come in at about $22,000 a year ahead of whites, ahead of Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans. Do they ever say, "Thank you, America, for letting us come to a much better country than the one we left behind"? I've never heard it. They love to talk about the oppression of black and brown people because they quickly learned that in the victims' sweepstakes, that puts them right up there with blacks, although, of course, they live as far away from blacks as they possibly can. They learned quicker than anyone what chumps white people are, that the harder you kick them, the harder they wag their tails. They can leave behind their own dung-heap countries to live with people who welcome and coddle them and then defecate all over them. They are without shame, without honor, without decency, without a shred of gratitude, because we let them get away with it. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll subscribe to this video channel. Also, maybe give this video a thumbs up. I invite you to amren.com, amren.com. You'll find videos, podcasts, discussions, many things I'm sure will interest you. But again, thank you so much for watching.